Hi, my name is Jim Hedrick, AKA Mr. Jim. But another leader that we had, not with the troop, but with the church, was George Wilson. George Wilson actually had a troop of his own because back in the day, to go to Woodbadge, the only people that were invited, you were invited, it wasn't just paying the tuition, you were invited to take the course, and you had to be a scoutmaster. And George was big into Woodbadge. So he had his own troop, but yet I think they're around here somewhere. They used to be on display in our fellowship hall, the neckerchief slides, and then it ended up leaning up against the wall in here for years. I don't know where they're at right now, but George Wilson that was his collection of neckerchief slides. And a lot of those he made himself, like for camporees and stuff like that. He would make a special neckerchief slide for it. I know you might have seen pictures of it, but 2 snowshoes crossed, that was for the freezeries, or that's what they called them back in my day. Now what do they call them now?
Klondikes.
Klondikes, yeah. So he made those not just for the troop, but for all the participants. So there was a lot of those in that case that he crafted himself. But anyway, plus the fact he has a special spot in my heart because as a volunteer mucky muck, he like I said, was very big in Woodbadge, which is adult leadership training. And he's taken Woodbadge and been on courses at Philmont, at the Woodbadge camp, at the Philmont Camp Zastro. And I keep forgetting the name of the East Coast Philmont. But I have pictures. His widow gave me his album of scouting stuff, which is in the scout room, and it's in there, I know. But at that camp, they had the axe and the log Woodbadge. Well, they had a big one, and it was like a sundial. Well, when my first trip to Philmont was for leadership training, and one Sunday was our day off, and I took a bus tour of Philmont, and they said, and down this road here is Camp Zastro, where that's the Woodbadge camp. And I knew George took Woodbadge there, and he was also a fox, which is dear to my heart. And so after we got back from our tour, John and I, in his vehicle, drove down to that area, and they gave us the key to get in this meeting building. And the building was somewhat like this. It had a commons area in the middle for the entire group to meet, and then along the outside, they had individual rooms for each patrol. Well, I went to the Fox room, and on the Fox room, some of the old Fox flags were hanging. And the one that George Wilson was in, they had their names of their patrol roster. And I got a picture of myself pointing to George's name on his Fox patrol sign in the Fox room at Philmont. And that's pretty dear and dear. Plus the fact, when I received my Eagle back in 1962, shortly thereafter, Barney, our scoutmaster at the time, was a member of the Kiwanis, and they met at the Kings at 40th and South. And it was Scout Week, and Barney had Terry Stentz and I go to that meeting as representatives of the troop, but the fact we were both Eagle Scouts, and George was the main speaker. And George was the main speaker at Terry and I got our Eagles at the same court of honor. And George was one of the people that did the presentation at my Eagle court of honor. So he holds a pretty close spot in my heart. But anyway, he got up to speak at this Kiwanis dinner, and he must have knew it was happening. He was popping his pills, and he keeled over at the podium, and that he died that night.
Wow.
And Barney went to the hospital with George, and another Kiwanian took us home. And at that time, I lived over here at 20th and Ryan's, and Barney stopped at the house on the way back from the hospital and told us that George passed. But they had his funeral here at Southview, and the place was sold out. And back in those days, the adult leaders wore the red wool jackets a lot, and it was just a sea of red on the main floor of our sanctuary. And that was in our new sanctuary, not this old one.